Dungeon Master's Diary, Entry 9. The party now before the Dreadlord Siro'Alaenn approach, trying to converse and cut a deal. Dotrin managing to weave some words, trying to understand the nature of what the Dreadlord would want in exchange for his brother's soul and to return him back to a mortal being, uncorrupted. The conversation goes south, the Dreadlord agitated by Dotrin's lack of respect. The combat ensues. The Dreadlord trying to summon creatures from beyond to no avail, and from a volley of attacks, slowly starts to succumb to the damage. Sir Lorcan and Toma, their auras dampened, their magic waned just by being in the presence of this being. Death seems to come at a greater price, things slowly beginning to destroy everything around them. Sir Lorcan falls, broken by Siro's attacks, felling him, causing him to almost instantaneously die. Or he continue fighting, finding that they can wear this creature down more and more, but it will become aggressive, becomes angrier. Eventually, with some badly wounded, they emerge victorious, the Corpse King turning into nothing more than ethereal essence, seen by those with true sight. Breath of relief hangs in the nice cold air as the party try and gather their things and revive their fallen friend. They succeed, bringing him back, and now they continue to investigate the area in which Siro has called his domain. In investigating, they uncover some treasures, some things of worth. Unfortunately, through the combat, Dotrin had suffered some psychological damage, and upon finding a treasure chest, found it only to be filled with moving eyeballs that stare as they pour out. Others around him see piles of gold and a few magical items, whereas he follows a puppy. The others, spotting it, notice it to be a puppy that belongs to a hound of ill omen, a creature corrupted by the Shadowfell. Adopting this small creature, Dotrin takes it with him as they travel back through a Fey gate, broken behind the Corpse King's throne, and return to a place beyond where they usually are, to Underlan, on the coast of Andorol, amongst the crashing waves of the wrathful sea standing atop basalt pillars that make up the coastline. They teleport away, back to the consulate building in Fiantair, embracing the nice cold snow and the crisp winter's airs. Now reunited, they make acquaintances with old allies and debrief Atlas, their captain, and get some well-deserved rest. So, that session was absolutely wild. I was anticipating the fight to go one of two ways. Either I would have to trigger the Corpse King's summoning abilities, which kind of didn't work due to choices that the party had made. Now, like I mentioned in the last diary, when they went through the trials of the five virtues, they naved and condemned and dubbed certain knights of Fey history. And what result they had could determine how the Corpse King's powers worked. And because if they had, because they did a condemnation, 3 knaves and a dub, it actually kind of worked out in their favor. I was rolling in the background to see if there was a creature nearby that the Corpse King could just pull forth to aid in battle. And every time I rolled, it came out lower than the result that he required. So they were fine. If they had naved every single person, the result could have been very different. So you roll a d20, and if they had naved every single person, including Siro'Alaenn, the Corpse King had to roll between a 5 and a 20 to summon something. Because they had a dubbing, it actually increased it to a 15, which is very wild. They condemned someone, so that brought it up by 1, so it was 16 to 20, and then they naved everyone else, so it brought it down to 13. So you had to roll 13 to 20, and every single time he was going to summon someone, he rolled below a 13. So that was quite surprising. Certain things required a higher roll. It's mostly just to see if he could summon during that turn. Just kind of like a free action, like a layer action that he just activates. And yeah, that was interesting. He would have summoned a whole slew of horrible things in the fight. Hounds of Ill Omen, Sentinels of Ill Omen. He was going to summon a Dreadnought. He had a few other things up his sleeve, like Death Knights, and there was something else that he had that I wasn't going to use originally, and I never intended to use. It was going to be an Ifrit, but it was a corrupted Ifrit, which kind of had this sort of dark flame, like almost charcoal-like flesh with was white hot outlines crackling. That was going to be a tough one if the Corpse King had summoned it. But alas, he failed every single time. His damage output was scary enough, as it were. Dealing psychic damage, necrotic, a lot of necrotic damage, a lot of slashing damage. Had a lot of spells at his disposal. I think out of every single character, excluding the NPCs, I think the people that did the most damage was Daron, who's always there in that sort of top spot. Henra did quite a good amount of damage, as well as Dotran. David was at the back, in the sidelines, not taking any damage really at all. It was fine enough. What kind of annoyed me was the Corpse King can move about quite a lot, and they got him to about half health, which is about 600-ish HP, about 650, and he just sort of changed in the second form. And unfortunately, because we use isometric maps, I couldn't quite show what it was like. It was going to be, what I had in my head was going to be kind of like a old school platformer boss from like the 90s, where the boss appears in the background and has a huge presence across the board. It's kind of what I wanted. But isometrics don't allow that, because it's kind of hard to get the right thing in place on the fly. So I just kind of made this token huge and bleh. Luckily, they killed him faster than he could reach stage 3, which didn't rely on HP, it relied on rounds happening, which was a d4 of rounds, and it determined how quick he would change into phase 3, which would have made life a lot harder, because everything gets so much worse, because they start taking a lot of damage, just straight damage. It doesn't even affect any resistances or immunities, it just starts degrading their HP like quite quickly. It's about 50 points a turn or so. So it's kind of like an incentive. This guy's on his last legs, he's doing a crap load of damage to you passively. Just try and kill him as fast as you can. And they did it before he actually got into phase 3, because I rolled a 4. So, could have gone one or two ways. Could have been like, he's in phase 2, now next turn, phase 3. Okay, boys, start taking damage. But, yeah, that was it could have gone really bad, and I was hoping that something could have gone a little bit better. For the party mostly. Lorcan going down definitely hindered a few things, but the Corpse King did target him specifically because he did know Sir Lorcan. And it was like, this guy's the biggest threat. We'll take him down because Sir Lorcan is, without a doubt, the biggest threat to anyone that fights him. His sword just increases in damage every crit he gets, and his crit range is 17 to 20, so just bang, 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 bang. He's just rolling out all this damage, and it's terrifyingly powerful. Just passively. And then he'll just smite on top of it, and it's crit one, so you double it, and it's... I have to open up a calculator app just so I can calculate his damage. 3 attacks around, action surge if he wants to. Oh, brother. But yeah, Lorcan went down. Daron revived him, so I was like, well, he was going to make a medicine check to just stabilize him, but I used a healer's kit charge and brought him to 1, just had him unconscious for about, I think it was 4 hours. They did wake him back up, just from shaking and bringing him back through healing magic, and so once the Dreadlord was dead. But once all that had happened, Dogen had suffered psychological damage from the Dreadlord's ability called Rack Psyche, which is if you fail the check, which inevitably everyone will unless they roll a nat 20, which is just negate it. It's just like, yeah, take some madness. It's long-term madness. It's not indefinite. It's about 10 hours he was hallucinating for. Started seeing weird things like wrong colors, smells were different. When he touched things, they felt like they were turning into like dust. Was following a dog that took him to a treasure chest. Turns out the dog was a puppy of Illumin that had basically just identified Dotrin as its mother. It's like, yeah, that's kind of like how Hounds of Illumin work. So you're kind of its mother now. And he was like, oh, well, I guess I gotta go raise this thing. The eyeballs coming out the chest, that was just an idea. So it's like, what would be really weird for Dotrin to see? It's like, tip open the chest and a bunch of eyeballs would pour out. About 100,000 or so eyeballs. It was something in the crazy range. Yeah, let's just say the party made out of there a ballin'. They did get out, making their way to Andalan, and which is like a small, I say small, it's quite a large region of Andorol. The area they landed on, just outside the Narathal Sea, which was inspired by the Giant's Causeway in Wales. In Wales, bit of a Rathful Sea down there. Yeah, it was pretty good. They teleported back to the consulate building, met up with Atlas, and checked in on Cinder. Spoke to quite a few people. Tank went to go speak with Charlotte. Lorcan and Vidar left to go their own way, set up and settle down in the world, as it were. But it was a nice ending, in my opinion. Just seeing the party released from this burden of just being in this dungeon for what felt like forever. Me as a dungeon master, I enjoy telling a story through a dungeon. It's great fun. But there does come a time when a player and a dungeon master should just kind of understand that there's only so much you can do in a dungeon. You can put in NPCs and things like that. It makes sense. But I was like, I'm glad this only has 4 floors, technically 5. And just kind of went, okay, on you go, enjoy. But it was good. I really did enjoy seeing the guys feel a little bit more of like a weight off their shoulders, just returning back. It's like a breath of fresh air, just having them return to the consulate building. But now they're gonna go take 2.5 years of downtime to train and go see Tybal Brim, get some new equipment. Daron is trying to romance Toma. It's going okay, but their first date back, Dotrin showed up and ate everything on the menu. And this is an exotic dwarven restaurant with very weird ingredients, and it cost about 50,000 gold for everything on the menu. Because some of it's so expensive. Ate half of it, passed out, had the rest of it stowed away inside of the pantry and the icebox in the ship. So it's pretty good. It was a nice bit of humor, a bit of elation, the whole situation. And now, between the current session and next session, they will probably be at the Spring Festival, which is going to be fun. Basically, an all sort of druid, fae, dryad sort of thing. It's going to be interesting just to see how they interact. It'll probably be a session, mostly. I do hope that they come up with what they want to fully do during the downtime. I know what some of the players want to do, like build a giant flying bird that carries them about like a, I don't know, like an AC-130. Or a Chinook helicopter, I don't know. Just flying into combat. It's good. I'm glad that they got out and can take the time off to interact with characters and enjoy the time that they have. Because after this, it's Greyforge, and things are going to get very interesting from then on. I mean, there's still other like side quests they can do. I mean, David's got a few things he can do. Go see Stormcaller Ina. Go see about that. Could finish up a few things in Plane of Fire. Could head off anywhere, really. There's quite a lot of things that they could do. Just untouched stuff, really. Which I do quite like about these campaigns. It's just like, hey, you've got the option, just do it if you want to. Just an extra little bit of coin or some equipment. So, bit of XP. Nothing too wrong about that. You know, a Masquerade Ball is just an XP farm with social standards. It's fine. Yeah, so I think I have rambled on long enough for this Dungeon Master's Diary. And I will see you guys in the next one. So, as always, stay safe out there, adventurers.